A lone man nearly sent the native girl away. By morning, gold flecks shimmered in his stream. The valley stretched before him like a green ocean, its hills rising and falling under a pale morning sun. He had been traveling for days, sometimes through dry rocky paths, sometimes through tall grasses that reached above his knees. The air was fresh but carried a strange scent, something earthy mixed with a sweet fragrance he couldn't name. Elias stopped and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was tired, his boots heavy with dust and mud. His eyes scanned the valley carefully. It was beautiful, yes, but it was also strange. The hills seemed almost alive. From a distance, he could see shimmering patches of light dancing along the stream that wound through the valley floor. He thought it might be reflection from stones or minerals, but something about the shimmer felt unusual, almost deliberate. He adjusted his pack and continued walking. Elias had been a prospector for most of his life, traveling from one remote place to another in search of valuable minerals. Gold, rare stones, anything that could make him enough money to keep traveling. But this valley was different. It was untouched. There were no signs of other humans, no tracks, no ruins. Only the sound of the stream, the whisper of the wind, and the distant calls of creatures he had never seen. As he approached a bend in the stream, he saw movement out of the corner of his eye. A figure stepped lightly from behind a cluster of tall reeds. She was small, barely more than a girl, with hair the color of midnight and skin that seemed to glow faintly under the sunlight. Her eyes were wide and bright, filled with caution. "Who are you?" Elias asked, his voice calm but firm. The girl said nothing. She simply stood there watching him. She seemed different, not just because of her strange appearance, but because of the quiet confidence she carried. She did not run, did not cry out. She simply observed him. Elias knelt to adjust his pack. "I'm just passing through," he said. "I don't mean any harm." Finally, the girl spoke. Her voice was soft but clear. "You should leave. This place is not safe for outsiders." Elias frowned. "Not safe, it's just a valley." Her eyes narrowed. "Not for someone like you. You do not understand. You could get lost. The valley, it watches." Elias chuckled lightly, trying to ease the tension. "Valleys don't watch, little one. Humans do." The girl shook her head. "The valley is older than humans. Older than your maps. If you stay here, you may not find your way back." Elias paused. Her words sent a chill through him, but he quickly shook it off. He had been alone many times before and had survived. He trusted his skills. "I appreciate the warning, but I'll be fine," he said, standing up. The girl's eyes followed him as he walked closer to the stream. She did not move. She simply tilted her head as if studying him, weighing his intentions. Elias knelt by the water and dipped his hands in. The stream was cold and clear. He drank deeply, savoring the freshness. But then he noticed something strange. Small flecks sparkled beneath the surface, catching the sunlight. They were golden, almost like tiny stars floating in the water. Elias froze, his heart beat faster. He reached into the stream, but the flecks seemed to shift and move as if alive. He withdrew his hand, staring at the water. The girl stepped closer. "Do not touch it," she said softly. "It is not meant to be taken." Elias looked at her. "I was not going to take it." What is it?" She hesitated. "It is the valley's gift, but it can only be given to those who understand it." Elias frowned. "Understand it? How does one understand a stream?" The girl's eyes sparkled. "By watching, by learning, by respecting it." Elias rubbed his chin, unsure what to make of her words. He had always believed that knowledge came from digging, from examining, from measuring. But something about this place made him feel different, as if the valley itself was alive, breathing, and waiting. He spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the small area around the stream. Birds of colors he had never seen before flitted through the trees. Strange plants swayed even when the wind was still, their leaves glittering faintly. The girl followed at a distance, never speaking, simply observing. Elias felt her eyes on him constantly. It was disconcerting but not unpleasant. As the sun began to set, painting the valley in warm golds and oranges, Elias prepared a small fire. He roasted a few edible roots he had found and sipped water from the stream. He thought about leaving, about following the girl's warning, but curiosity anchored him in place. There was something about the shimmer in the stream, about the valley itself, that called to him. Night fell quickly. The valley transformed. The colors of the leaves deepened and the glowing patterns on the plants became more pronounced. The air was filled with soft sounds, almost like whispers. Elias felt a shiver of excitement and unease. Then the girl returned. She did not approach the fire, but she came close enough for him to see her clearly in the moonlight. "The valley does not trust those who are careless," she said. "If you stay, you must pay attention. You must listen." Elias nodded. "I'll be careful." The girl studied him for a moment. Then she said, "Sleep here, but do not dream too deeply. The valley listens to dreams as well as actions." Elias lay down near the fire, staring at the sky through the gaps in the trees. The stars were brighter than any he had seen before, each one reflected in the sparkling stream. He felt small, but also alive in a way he had never felt in his travels. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of flowing water mingled with faint whispers. He wasn't sure if it was the wind, the valley, or something else, but he felt a strange sense of wonder and caution at the same time. He realized that in this valley he was not the master. He was a guest, and the rules were not his to make. Elias closed his eyes and listened to the night. The girl's presence was still there, a quiet shadow at the edge of his camp. He felt that she was not just watching him, but guiding him, testing him, in ways he did not yet understand. As sleep began to pull him under, he whispered to himself, "Tomorrow I will learn more." The valley seemed to answer him, not with words but with a gentle shimmer in the stream, as if golden flecks danced in approval, or perhaps warning. Elias did not know which. He drifted into a restless sleep, full of strange, vivid images of glowing streams, twisting plants and stars that seemed to fall into the water. In his dreams, the girl's eyes appeared often, not as a warning this time, but as a beacon. The valley had begun to claim a part of him, and Elias knew that by morning nothing would be quite the same. Elias woke with a start before the first light of dawn touched the valley. The night had been restless. Dreams of twisting plants, sparkling streams, and the girl's bright, unyielding eyes lingered in his mind. He rubbed his face and listened. The valley was quiet now, but he could still hear the faint, soft gurgle of the stream nearby. The girl was gone. Elias assumed she had slipped away as silently as she had appeared. He felt a small pang of disappointment. He had begun to wonder what she would show him next. Sitting by the fire, now cold, he picked up his pack and adjusted it. Today, he decided, he would explore the stream and perhaps learn more about the valley. The morning light slowly spilled over the hills. The valley transformed with it. Colors he had thought were normal in the dim light of evening became richer, brighter. Plants glistened as if dusted with diamonds. Small insects with translucent wings flitted through the air, leaving faint trails of luminescence behind them. Elias walked along the stream, kneeling now and then to touch the water. The golden flecks were still there, shimmering like tiny suns trapped in the current. He had been tempted to scoop some into his hand the night before, but the girl's warning stayed with him. He did not need gold to understand that this place was alive. As he moved along the water's edge, Elias noticed subtle movements among the plants. The leaves seemed to shift toward him as though watching. He stopped and held his breath. A small bird with feathers like liquid silver landed on a low branch, tilting its head at him. Its eyes were intelligent, almost knowing. Elias smiled softly. "You are unlike anything I've seen," he whispered to the bird. It chirped once, then darted away. He walked further and soon he saw her, Lyra. She had returned, moving lightly over the mossy ground. She was no longer distant, but she did not come too close either. "You are awake," she said simply. Elias nodded. Yes, I couldn't sleep. The valley, it seems different in the night. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. The valley is always awake. You only see part of it when it is bright. Night shows its true nature. Elias looked around. He noticed that some of the plants that had seemed ordinary by daylight now glowed faintly, pulsating in soft rhythms. The stream sparkled with even more intensity, and faint ripples seemed to move against the current, as if something beneath the surface was stirring. "Does the valley talk to you?" he asked. Lyra considered him for a moment. "It does not speak like humans do. But it communicates. You listen with more than your ears. You listen with your heart, your hands, your eyes. You notice, you wait, you try to understand, then it shows itself." Elias frowned slightly. "So it only trusts some people." Lyra's gaze met his. "It trusts those who are careful, who are curious, who respect life. The rest, they take and leave nothing but scars." Elias thought about this. In his travels, he had seen so many landscapes ruined by greed, by humans who thought nature was just something to conquer. He felt a pang of shame, but also hope. Maybe here he could learn something different. Lyra led him along a narrow path that hugged the stream. Elias followed silently, noticing details he had missed before. Tiny glowing flowers clung to the rocks, their petals opening and closing with the movement of the water. Small fish swam in patterns that seemed to follow invisible lines in the current. The valley was not just alive, it was intelligent in ways he could not yet comprehend. They reached a bend in the stream where the water pooled in a shallow basin. Here, the golden flecks gathered in abundance, swirling slowly in gentle eddies. Lyra crouched by the edge and extended her hand over the water. Elias did the same. "The flecks, they respond," Lyra said softly, "but they respond to patience, to thoughtfulness. If you reach without care, they scatter. If you rush, you see nothing. You must move as the valley moves, think as it thinks." Elias leaned closer, studying the patterns. He noticed that the flecks followed the smallest motions of his hand, drifting toward him when he moved slowly and evenly. It was mesmerizing. He felt an odd thrill. This was unlike mining, unlike prospecting, unlike anything he had done. Here, he was not taking. He was learning, observing, participating. "You are learning quickly," Lyra said, her voice quiet but approving. "Few understand this the first time." Elias smiled. "I think I want to understand." Lyra nodded. "Then you must listen tonight. The valley will show you things most humans never see." The rest of the day passed slowly. Elias experimented with the flecks, learning to guide them gently with his hands. He noticed that they seemed to respond not just to movement but to his focus. When he thought too much about them, they darted away. When he concentrated on observing the flow of the water, they swirled around him, shimmering brightly. As the sun began to set, the valley transformed again. The glowing patterns became more vivid. Tiny creatures emerged from the undergrowth, their bodies covered in delicate lights. They moved with grace, circling the stream and floating along the water's surface. Elias watched, awestruck. Lyra crouched nearby. "The night will teach you more," she said. Elias felt a flutter of excitement and nerves. He had spent his life chasing gold, chasing things that could be measured, weighed, and sold. But here, in this valley, value was not in possession. It was in understanding, in connection, in harmony. He realized he was seeing something far more precious than any mineral. As darkness fell fully, a gentle mist rose from the stream. It was cool and soft against his skin. The golden flecks glowed brighter, moving in intricate patterns, almost as if they were performing a dance. Elias reached out his hand again. This time, he did not try to control them. He simply let his fingers float above the water, moving in rhythm with the current. The flecks responded, spinning and rising, then settling again. The valley seemed to hum softly, a sound felt more in the chest than heard with ears. Elias closed his eyes, letting the rhythm flow through him. For the first time in his life, he felt completely in tune with a place that was not his own, yet somehow had accepted him. Lyra watched him, her expression calm but attentive. "Do you see now?" she asked. Elias opened his eyes slowly. The flecks shimmered in spirals across the water, the stream glowing with soft golden light. "Yes," he whispered. "I see. I think I understand a little." Lyra nodded. "The valley is patient. It shows its secrets only to those who respect them. You may stay here as long as you learn, as long as you listen. But tomorrow, the valley will test you further." Elias felt a thrill at her words. He did not know what the test would be, but he no longer felt fear. Curiosity had replaced it, a deep hunger to understand this living place. Night deepened. The stars mirrored the flecks in the stream, creating a world where sky and water seemed to meet. The creatures continued their gentle dances, and the valley whispered its secrets in a language older than humans. Elias sat quietly, absorbing everything, aware that he was learning far more than any map or guidebook could teach. When he finally lay down to sleep, he did so with a sense of peace and anticipation. He knew that by morning, the valley would reveal even more, and he would be ready to see it. And somewhere in the distance, the golden flecks shimmered as if nodding in approval, welcoming him deeper into the heart of the valley. The morning sun rose gently over the valley, spilling warm light across the hills and painting the stream in golden hues. Elias awoke with a sense of anticipation he had never felt before. Last night, the valley had whispered its secrets in strange, quiet ways, and he was eager to discover more. He rolled up his bed of leaves, left the fire smoldering, and moved toward the stream. Lyra was already there. She sat on a flat rock at the edge of the water, her reflection mirrored in the golden ripples. Elias approached quietly, not wanting to disturb the stillness of the morning. "You are early," she said, her voice soft like the wind through the trees. "I could not wait," Elias admitted. "The stream, it feels alive. It is calling me." Lyra nodded. "The valley calls to those who listen, and the stream calls to those who are ready." Elias knelt beside the water, letting his hands hover above the golden flecks. They shimmered and shifted, almost as if responding to his thoughts. He remembered her words from yesterday. The flecks responded not to force, but to understanding. "I want to learn," he whispered. "Teach me." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "I can guide you. But the stream has its own lessons. You must watch, you must wait, and you must try to see patterns others cannot." Elias closed his eyes for a moment and let himself breathe slowly. He watched the tiny movements of the water, feeling the rhythm of the current beneath his fingertips. The golden flecks moved gracefully, forming delicate spirals and clusters. When he followed their flow with patience, they seemed to respond, glowing more brightly. "You see?" Lyra asked. "The stream moves with thought, not with force. You must learn to follow, not control." Elias nodded, fascinated. He tried again, this time moving his hands in small, gentle circles above the water. Slowly, carefully, the flecks followed, spinning and weaving in intricate patterns. A strange warmth spread through him, a connection he had never felt before. "It is beautiful," he breathed. "It's almost alive." Lyra's eyes gleamed. "It is alive. Everything in this valley is alive, even if you cannot always see it. The stream is more than water and gold. It is a bridge between what is seen and what is hidden." Elias looked closer. He noticed that beneath the golden flecks, tiny, shimmering shapes moved. They were almost like miniature creatures, delicate and luminous, flowing with the current. He tried to touch them gently, and they darted away, only to return a moment later when he moved patiently. "The stream teaches patience," Lyra explained. "It teaches observation. And it rewards understanding." Elias spent hours at the water, watching and learning. The girl remained nearby but silent, letting him explore. He realized that each movement of the stream, each swirl of the golden flecks had meaning. Sometimes they formed circles, sometimes lines, sometimes shapes he could not name. And yet, the patterns felt familiar in a way he could not explain. By midday, Elias had begun to understand a rhythm. If he moved too quickly, the flecks scattered. If he rushed his thoughts, the patterns became chaotic. But when he slowed, when he focused on the flow of the stream and the gentle movements of his hands, the Flecks danced in perfect harmony. "You are learning faster than most," Lyra said, finally breaking her silence. "Few humans understand even a fraction of what the valley offers in a single day." Elias smiled, feeling pride mixed with awe. "I want to understand more. I feel connected somehow, like I belong here at least a little." Lyra's gaze softened. "You belong as much as the valley allows those who respect it, and it has already accepted you in ways others never will." As the afternoon sun moved higher, Elias decided to follow the stream upstream. He wanted to see where it began, to discover the source of its shimmering beauty. Lyra followed at a distance, guiding silently whenever the path became tricky. The valley grew denser, the plants taller and more vibrant. Strange flowers bloomed along the banks, petals glowing faintly even in daylight. Small creatures with soft, radiant bodies moved quietly among the leaves. After a while, the stream narrowed and dropped into a small pool surrounded by smooth stones. Here the golden flecks were thicker than ever, swirling like tiny stars caught in a gentle whirlpool. Elias knelt, reaching out carefully. The flecks moved toward him, forming patterns he had never seen before, intricate spirals, interlocking circles, and shapes that seemed to pulse with life. "This is incredible," he murmured. "It's like it's trying to speak to me." Lyra crouched beside him. "It does speak. Not with words, but with movement. Each pattern, each shimmer is a message. You must learn to read it." Elias leaned closer. He focused on the flecks, noticing subtle differences in the way they moved depending on his own thoughts and intentions. If he felt impatience, they scattered. If he felt calm and curious, they swirled gracefully. Slowly, he began to understand the lesson. The stream mirrored the mind and heart of anyone who approached it. Hours passed. Elias experimented with small motions, observing how the flecks responded. He realized that he could influence patterns not by force, but by aligning his attention with the rhythm of the water. It was a delicate balance, and he found himself completely absorbed, forgetting hunger and fatigue. "You are ready for more," Lyra said suddenly, her voice soft but firm. Elias looked up, startled. "More?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "The stream's magic is not in the flecks alone. They are a guide, a teacher. If you wish to truly understand, you must follow the stream to its source. There you will see how the valley breathes, how it lives, and how it protects itself." Elias felt a thrill of excitement. He had traveled to many valleys, many streams, but he had never seen anything like this. "I want to go," he said. Lyra nodded. "Then follow me, but step lightly and watch carefully. The valley rewards those who are patient and careful. It can also teach harsh lessons to those who are not." The path grew steeper as they moved upstream. Moss-covered rocks made footing tricky, and the sound of the stream became louder as it tumbled over small waterfalls and rocky ledges. Elias kept his eyes on the water, noticing how each pool, each bend, had its own rhythm, its own pattern of golden flecks. Finally, they reached a small cliff above the stream. Below, the water fell into a deep basin, shimmering with golden light. Elias knelt at the edge, gazing into the pool. The flecks moved with breathtaking complexity, forming patterns that seemed alive, almost conscious. Lyra crouched beside him. "This is where the stream begins to share its true secret," she said. "Watch carefully and remember what it teaches you. The valley has chosen you for a reason." Elias stared into the water, mesmerized. He could feel a strange energy pulsing from the pool, as if the valley itself were alive in a way that went beyond plants and animals. He reached out slowly, and the flecks responded immediately, rising in delicate spirals, forming glowing bridges across the surface. "It's guiding me," he whispered. "It wants me to follow." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but the path is not easy. You must think, observe, and respect. Only then will the valley reveal its deepest lessons." Elias spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the basin, learning to move in harmony with the stream. He realized that the golden flecks were more than decoration. They were a living part of the valley, reflecting intention, patience, and curiosity. He felt a thrill of understanding and a quiet sense of wonder. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, Elias looked at Lyra. "I think I am beginning to understand," he said. "This valley, it teaches us, but it also trusts us if we are careful." Lyra smiled. "Yes, and you have shown it patience and curiosity. Tomorrow it may show you even more." Elias lay on a soft patch of moss beside the stream that night, watching the golden flecks shimmer in the moonlight. He felt connected to the valley in a way he had never imagined. This was not gold to be taken, not wealth to be counted. It was knowledge, wonder, and a bond with a place that was older and wiser than any human. And somewhere deep in the pool below, the golden flecks pulsed in response, as if acknowledging him, welcoming him into the heart of the valley. The sun rose slowly over the valley, painting the hills in soft golds and oranges. Elias woke with a sense of anticipation, almost like a child on the first day of an adventure. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, feeling the cool morning air on his skin. Last night, the stream had pulsed with energy in ways he could hardly explain. The golden flecks had seemed to swirl with purpose, guiding him even in his dreams. Lyra was already standing at the edge of the stream, her gaze fixed on the water. Elias approached quietly, careful not to disturb the stillness. "Today," Lyra said softly, "the valley will test you, not with danger or force, but with trust. You must show it that you understand its ways." Elias nodded, a mixture of curiosity and excitement in his chest. "I understand, I will do my best." Lyra led him along the stream. The path grew narrower and more intricate, winding between clusters of glowing plants and tall, twisting trees. Small creatures peeked from the undergrowth, their translucent bodies catching the light like tiny lanterns. The valley seemed to be holding its breath, waiting. "The test is not simple," Lyra explained. "The stream will challenge your patience, your focus, and your respect. If you fail, you learn nothing, but if you succeed, it will reveal something precious." Elias followed her, his heart beating faster. He had faced many challenges in his life, but none like this. This was not about strength or skill. It was about understanding, observation, and connection. They reached a small clearing where the stream widened into a shallow pool. The golden flecks were abundant here, swirling in intricate patterns. Elias knelt beside the water, watching carefully. The flecks seemed to respond to his presence, forming spirals and waves that mirrored his movements. "Step carefully," Lyra said. "Do not rush. Listen." Elias inhaled deeply and focused. He extended his hand over the water, moving slowly. The flecks responded immediately, forming a delicate bridge of shimmering light across the pool. Elias' eyes widened. He had not expected this. "The first part of the test," Lyra said, "is observation. You must follow the patterns without trying to control them. Let the stream guide you." Elias moved his hands in small, gentle motions. He let his mind clear of all distractions, paying attention only to the flow of water and the dance of the flecks. Slowly, he began to notice subtle signals, a flicker here, a tiny ripple there. The stream seemed almost alive, communicating in a language of motion. Hours passed. Elias practiced patience, learning to synchronize his movements with the golden flecks. At first, he struggled. When he became too eager or focused on the outcome, the flecks scattered. But when he relaxed and allowed himself to simply observe, the patterns became harmonious and beautiful. "You are learning," Lyra said quietly. "Few humans understand this balance so quickly." Elias smiled, feeling a thrill of achievement. "It's incredible." "I've never experienced anything like this." Lyra nodded. "The second part of the test is trust. You must trust the stream as it trusts you. Do not force, do not grab, do not hurry. Let the valley guide your actions." Elias hesitated for a moment. Trust was not always easy for him. He had spent years relying on tools, maps, and his own strength. But here, those things meant nothing. He closed his eyes and placed his hands lightly above the water, feeling the gentle tug of the current and the soft movement of the flecks beneath. The flecks responded, swirling and rising to form a glowing spiral. Elia's breath caught in his throat. He could feel a pulse, a rhythm that seemed to flow through him and the valley alike. It was as if the stream recognized him, accepted him, and allowed him to be part of its dance. "You see," Lyra said softly, "the valley is alive. It responds to intention, respect, and care. If you act with these, it will reveal its secrets." Elias nodded, awestruck. "I understand. I think I understand now." The golden flecks formed a path across the pool, leading toward a narrow channel upstream. Lyra motioned for him to follow. Elias rose carefully and stepped onto the shimmering trail. Each movement required attention. A single misstep could scatter the flecks and disrupt the pattern. As he moved, he realized the valley was teaching him more than patience. It was teaching him observation, awareness, and humility. Every ripple, every flicker of light was a lesson in connection. He felt a deep respect for this place that was far older and wiser than he could ever imagine. Lyra followed silently, watching him with a calm, approving gaze. "The final part of the test," she said, "is creativity. The stream will respond to thought, to imagination, to intention. You must guide the patterns without forcing them, creating beauty instead of control." Elias stopped for a moment, taking in the swirling flecks. He lifted his hand slowly, letting his fingers trace delicate arcs above the water. He imagined shapes, spirals, and bridges, and to his amazement, the flecks moved as if they understood. They formed intricate, glowing patterns that shimmered with a life of their own. He laughed softly, feeling a joy he had never known. This was not prospecting. This was not exploration in the traditional sense. This was creation, cooperation, and harmony with something far greater than himself. The sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting a warm glow across the valley. Elias continued to move his hands over the water, experimenting with patterns, watching the flecks respond. Lyra remained beside him, silent but attentive, as if the valley itself were holding its breath to see what he would do. Finally, Elias paused and let the flecks settle. They shimmered gently, forming a large, glowing spiral in the center of the pool. He stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. "The valley has accepted you," Lyra said, her voice calm and proud. "You have shown patience, observation, trust, and creativity. Few humans ever learn these lessons. You are different." Elias felt a surge of pride mixed with humility. He had traveled far and faced many challenges, but nothing had prepared him for this. Here, in this valley, he had discovered something more valuable than gold: understanding, connection, and the power of respect. "The stream of the valley," he whispered. "It feels alive." "Like it knows me," Lyra nodded. "It does, and now it will show you its deepest secret. Follow the patterns you have learned and you will see." Elias stepped carefully onto the glowing trail once more, moving slowly along the channel. The flecks guided him toward a small waterfall cascading into a hidden pool. The water here glowed brighter than anywhere else, golden flecks swirling in mesmerizing patterns. The pool reflected the sky above, creating the illusion of stars floating both in the air and in the water. He knelt at the edge, reaching out over the surface. The flecks responded immediately, rising and forming intricate spirals that seemed to float in the air before settling back into the water. Elias marveled at the beauty, feeling a deep sense of wonder and gratitude. "The valley rewards those who listen," Lyra said softly. "You have proven yourself. Now you may see more than any human has before." Elias closed his eyes and let himself feel the rhythm of the valley. The golden flecks swirled around him, rising and falling in harmony with the stream. He felt energy flowing through him, a connection to everything in the valley: the water, the plants, the creatures, and even the air itself. He realized that the valley was not just alive, it was intelligent, aware, and infinitely patient. As night fell, the pool glowed brighter, reflecting the stars above. Elias sat quietly, letting the Flecks dance around him, feeling the valley's lessons sink deep into his mind and heart. He had learned patience, trust, and creativity. He had learned respect for life and understanding for the unseen. And in that moment, Elias knew that he would never see the world in the same way again. The valley had changed him, revealing the true meaning of human curiosity, ingenuity, and harmony with the unknown. The golden flecks shimmered like a silent applause, acknowledging his growth, celebrating his understanding. Elias felt a deep sense of belonging, not as a conqueror or a prospector, but as a participant in something much greater than himself. He lay back on the soft moss beside the hidden pool, watching the valley breathe and shimmer. For the first time in his life, he felt fully at peace, fully alive, and fully human in the best possible sense. And somewhere in the depths of the glowing water, the golden flecks pulsed gently, as if promising that even greater wonders awaited him by morning. Elias woke before the first light of morning, his heart beating with quiet excitement. Last night had been transformative. He had passed the valley's test. He had shown patience, observation, trust, and creativity. But he sensed that the greatest lesson was still ahead. The stream shimmered in the dim light, the golden flecks dancing softly as if greeting him. Elias stood and stretched, taking in the valley with a careful, appreciative gaze. Everything seemed alive in a way he had never noticed before. The trees swayed gently, not from wind, but from some subtle rhythm that pulsed through the valley. The plants glowed faintly, reflecting his presence, and small creatures peeked from the undergrowth, their bodies glowing in delicate patterns. Lyra appeared beside him, as quiet and graceful as ever. Her eyes sparkled with approval. "The valley is ready to show you more," she said softly. Elias nodded. "I am ready." Together they followed the stream upstream. The path was gentle, lined with stones that glimmered faintly and soft moss that cushioned each step. Elias marveled at how the valley seemed to respond to his presence. The golden flecks rose higher in the water, forming intricate bridges that guided him across shallow pools. "This is the final step," Lyra said. "The valley will show you not what is, but what could be. It will reveal the gift of understanding, the reward for those who respect and care for life." Elias followed her quietly, his mind open and alert. He realized that the valley's lessons had been subtle but profound. It had taught him patience, trust, and creativity. It had shown him that connection and observation were far more valuable than greed or possession. And now, it was offering him something deeper, wisdom, a glimpse of the valley's soul. They reached a small clearing where the stream pooled in a crystalline basin. Here, the water glowed brighter than anywhere else, the golden flecks swirling in mesmerizing patterns. Elias knelt beside the pool, his reflection shimmering in the water alongside the dancing flecks. "Look closely," Lyra whispered. Elias leaned forward. The flecks rose from the water, forming shapes and patterns that seemed almost alive. At first, he saw spirals and waves, then shapes that resembled the valley's flora and fauna. The patterns moved and shifted, telling a story he could not yet fully understand. "It's beautiful," he murmured. "I think it's showing me something." Lyra nodded. "The stream reflects understanding. It shows those who have learned to listen, to observe, and to respect. Only then can one see the deeper truths of the valley." Elias focused, allowing himself to let go of his expectations. He let his thoughts drift like leaves on the water, and slowly, the flecks began to form images that were clearer and more vivid. He saw the valley in its entirety, the hills, the streams, the forests, and the creatures that lived in harmony. He saw patterns of life that connected every element, from the smallest pebble to the tallest tree. "It's alive," he whispered, awe in his voice. "The whole valley, it's alive and connected." "Yes," Lyra said, "and now you see what it has to teach. Life is not meant to be conquered. It is meant to be understood, respected, and cherished. That is the gift it offers to those who listen. Elias felt a surge of emotion he could not name. He had traveled the world, sought riches, and faced challenges, but nothing had given him this sense of wonder and belonging. Here, in this valley, he understood the value of harmony, patience, and respect. The golden flecks rose higher, forming a delicate bridge of light across the basin. Elias hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward, moving with care. As he did, the valley seemed to respond. The water glowed brighter, the plants leaned gently toward him, and the small creatures of the valley moved freely, unafraid. "It trusts you," Lyra said softly, "because you have shown understanding and care." Elias smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. I feel like part of it now, not as a visitor but as someone who belongs." Lyra placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "And that is the greatest lesson. The valley does not reward greed, nor force, nor fear. It rewards curiosity, empathy, and respect. Humanity can achieve great things when it acts with these qualities." Elias looked around the valley with new eyes. He saw the stream as more than water, the trees as more than plants, and the creatures as more than animals. He saw patterns, connections, and the flow of life in ways he had never imagined. For the first time, he felt truly aware of the world around him and of his place within it. The golden flecks shimmered in approval, swirling around him in gentle, intricate patterns. Elias reached out his hands, letting them float above the water. The flecks responded, dancing around his fingers and forming beautiful, glowing spirals. "You see now," Lyra said, "the valley has shared its deepest secret with you. Not gold, not riches, but understanding, harmony, and connection. That is the true gift." Elias nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "I understand. I will remember. I will carry this with me." For a long moment, they sat quietly, watching the valley glow in the first light of dawn. The air was filled with soft whispers, the gentle hum of life moving in perfect harmony. The stream flowed endlessly, the golden flecks dancing across its surface, and the creatures of the valley moved freely, unafraid and unhurried. Elias realized that this was what humanity could achieve when it approached the world with curiosity, patience, and respect. The valley had shown him that true value lay not in possession but in understanding and cooperation with the living world. "Will I ever leave this place?" he asked softly. Lyra smiled. "That is your choice. The valley will always remember those who respect it. And it will continue to teach those who are willing to learn." Elias took a deep breath, letting the warm morning air fill his lungs. He looked at the shimmering stream, the glowing plants, and the golden flecks, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. This valley had changed him, opened his eyes, and shown him what it meant to be human in the truest sense, curious, thoughtful, and connected to the world around him. As the sun rose fully over the hills, Elias stood and stretched. The valley seemed to shimmer in response, the golden flecks forming patterns that celebrated his understanding. He turned to Lyra, who nodded in approval. "Thank you," he said quietly. Lyra smiled. "You have done well. Remember what you have learned, and you will carry the valley's gift with you wherever you go." Elias took one last look at the pool, the stream, and the surrounding valley. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had discovered something far greater than gold. He had discovered understanding, harmony, and the beauty of life itself. As he began to walk along the stream once more, the golden flecks shimmered in the sunlight, guiding him gently. He felt a quiet joy in his heart, knowing that humanity, at its best, could reach this kind of wonder. Curiosity tempered with care, intelligence paired with empathy, and the courage to learn from the unknown. And somewhere deep in the shimmering pool, the golden flecks pulsed with quiet approval, celebrating not just his discovery, but the limitless potential of humanity itself. Elias smiled, feeling truly alive for the first time in his life, as the valley whispered its eternal song of connection, wonder, and the brilliance of being human.